commerce on the Great Lakes, essentially demilitarized the Great Lakes. This was an important treaty, because Britain and the United States were actually very much in conflict. Before we get to that conflict, let me tell you very briefly about Maine. The U.S. claimed about this much more of Canada. Eventually come up with the area in pink would go to the U.S., split it in half. Smart move. And the reason they did this is because of what's called the Aroostook War. Oops. There's a river there called the Aroostook River. There we go. And this was a war over timber, basically fought between loggers. Needless to say, this was not a pleasant war. R-O-R-A-R-O-O-S. Talk. When loggers fight a war, what's their weapon? Yeah, axes. Yeah, and saws are not as. Of course, you can't. I guess two people could jump from a tree on somebody, but I don't think it's very practical. The point is, this was a nasty little fight between loggers, but they was worried it might escalate into something more. So when they came up and solved the Aroostook War, divided in half, Britain and the United States did have means for negotiation, but there's one more big issue, huge issue. What other area? Oregon, yes. Oregon Territory. I was going to point out something else, and this is going to decide what. Okay, Oregon Territory. So, Britain and the United States proved they could negotiate, but they have pretty shaky relations. Well, Webster immediately resigned after this. He was the last of the old Whigs that came in with Harrison. And so Tyler is now completely alone. The only people who like Tyler are Southern. What kind of people? What do they do? Yeah, plantation owners. That little group of elite who hated the democracy but wanted pro-slavery policies. And with that, he got a new Secretary of State. Now, the Secretary of State is responsible for foreign affairs. So this is foreign affairs. Who is the Secretary of State today? Obviously, the most important member of the cabinet. Say it again? Yeah, John Kerry of Massachusetts. If you did not know that, there's frankly no excuse. You should know things like that. That's not a big issue. That's not like, you know, what is the I'm trying to think of something very obscure. For that matter, you know, what are the tax provisions of the Affordable Care Act? Okay, I don't expect you to know that. But Secretary of State, it's kind of a big one. I do expect you to know what the Affordable Act is normally called. What is it called? Oh, that's Obamacare. Okay. But that's not, I mean, that's just, it's things you should know. It's things you should have somewhere there. I'll draw it on here. Shave your head next time, it'd be a lot easier to draw. Who did he get as his new Secretary of State? Everybody's favorite former governor of Virginia. Who is it? You don't have a favorite governor? Abel Upshur. You're welcome. Once again, names. Come here, little Aroostook. Come here, little Abel. Come here, little Upshur. Upshur's the name, right? Abel's actually relatively common, but Upshur, that's a great name. Obviously, that's a girl's name, right? No? I'm just winging it. Okay, Abel Upshur. All right. Abel Upshur became the new Secretary of State. Abel Upshur was a follower of everybody's favorite senator, I tied my shoe, everybody's favorite senator from South Carolina. Who is it?
Calhoun.
My shoe's untied, I don't want to yell. Remember, Calhoun nullified the tariff and did the gag rule because he wanted to unify the South. Unify the South to protect what institution?
Slavery.
Yeah, that's what Upshur wants. Unify the South to protect slavery. That's what he wants. But he's Secretary of State. This is foreign affairs. What foreign country, what independent nation was on everybody's mind? 1843, 1844. Say it again, louder. Texas. Texas. Yeah. Yeah. Texas. the Lone Star Republic. And Texas, here's the issue. If you look at that map over there, where you see it, that's kind of low in blue. If you look over that Mexican War and the Compromise of 1850 map, that big area of Texas, I also showed it in the video map, that could be 5 states. So this could change the balance of power in the Senate, the balance of power in the Electoral College. This is a big issue. And Upshur began active negotiations to annex Texas as a slave state, but maybe up to 5 or 6 slave states. Upshur knew exactly what he was doing. He was going to unify the South, basically saying to Southerners, if you don't want Texas, you're not a true Southerner, regardless of Whig or Democratic Party. And he approached Tyler. Tyler, who was all alone, jumped on this. Do everything you can to get Texas. Because this might get Tyler a chance to get renominated for president. Now it's the Southern candidate. Tyler's here right now to tell you more about this interesting story. It's not John Tyler. Thank you. So, back to this. So, chaos. So, Texas. All right. So here, Abel Upshur in Washington, D.C., sending emissary, talking to the Texan ambassador to the U.S., and sending his representatives to Austin, the new capital of the Republic of Texas, to talk to who's the president of Texas? Sam Houston. Now, Sam Houston is desperate, absolutely desperate. They assumed that the United States would annex them right away. They've been independent since 1836. By 1843-44, they're in real trouble. Mexico has never given up the claim. He's terrified that if Mexico decides America is not going to do anything, they'll come back. Take part or all of it. They're really worried about this. And this is causing another problem. Population. Nobody's moving to Texas. They have no people. Well, people they want. There's a small amount of Comanches that are absolutely just terrorizing the Texan frontier. But nobody's moving there. Another way to look at it is they got a shortage of work labor. There's a lot of rich landholders, but no one to pick the cotton, no one to grow the food, no one to build the towns. They don't have any people. Because Mexico might take it back and kick them out. He is desperate because with no people, there's no tax base, and their debt is skyrocketing. The Texan debt is going up, out of the world. They're issuing bonds with high interest. I mean, Sam Houston's in trouble. And so, they're kind of working together on this. But Sam Houston doesn't quite trust it. He is worried that it'll get caught up in Congress. And here's the thing. Upshur is thinking a treaty. How many votes does a treaty require to be ratified? Do you remember this? 2/3. It requires 2/3 in the Senate. Houston is thinking he won't get 2/3. He won't get 2/3 at all. And so this is where Houston does something. I just want to get to this for the bell ring. He goes to another country. It's really clever, but dangerous. He goes to Britain. He sends emissaries to Britain. He doesn't want Mexico back. And so what he says is, to Mexico, he proposes Texas becomes a protectorate of Britain. A protectorate of Britain. Basically, Texas will be independent, but they will be closely tied to Britain, a close alliance. Britain will protect them from Mexico. But then that means Britain will have a lot of influence over them. Now, he knows this will infuriate the United States, but there's something else. And this is where he's playing a dangerous game. Most of the wealthy people in Texas have slaves. That's why Houston cares about Texas not being part of Mexico. And he fought them and he doesn't want to go back. Britain, by 1837, so Britain by this time is intensely anti-slavery. Britain, in fact, sees themselves as the country that's going to stop worldwide slave trade. They send naval patrols off the coast of Africa to stop the slave trips. The slave ships, not the slave trips, oh gosh. But, so, Britain responds. It's called the Aberdeen Letter, but all you need to know is Britain, their foreign minister responds. They say this, but in a very public letter. Well, actually, it was a private, but Houston made it public. Britain said, okay, that's a pretty good idea, but Texas will have to get rid of slavery. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, what advantage does Texas get out of it? Then Britain will send immigrants. Britain has a surplus of poor. Immigrants from Britain and Ireland, remember this is right when the potato famine began, will go to Texas and take care of that issue. Pretty interesting idea. I don't know if it would have happened, but Houston doesn't want really to become a protectorate of Britain. How did they react in Washington, D.C. when they were talking about this? Who went nuts when they heard this? Upshur? Actually, Upshur's like, all right, this is what I want. Because who went crazy? Southern congressmen and senators. They said this is going to cause civil war. Not just war with Britain, civil war. Dangerous game. Tomorrow we'll briefly finish it. Oh, homework. You do have to read chapter 12 by Monday. We'll have a quiz just like the quiz we took today. They'll probably have different questions, but other than that, be very similar.
What?
Hannah, you're in trouble again.
The big one or the American? I always said that one. I was like pointing towards the board, like it would say it, but it doesn't.
Hannah, you're in trouble. You apologize?
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll accept it. Did very good on the short IDs. Needed something about Adam Smith for capitalism. Other than that, but you did very good here. You never really fully explained what it was. And I was like, and then you know that. And then, okay, so you got to go on there, and then at least one for the bounce. And yes, I think you missed 11. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
The ink is going out, so I'm gonna have to get new. Oh, I better cut this off.